Rachel Twort, and I work for the council, Bradford Council, and the Family Learning Service. And this morning's discussion about existential doubt is kind of relevant to what I'm going to talk about. So I realise that family learning is not always, very widely known about. It's delivered in by different organisations in different places. In Bradford, it's delivered by the local authority, and in other places, it's delivered by colleges. What it means to me is it's first steps learning. It's people who may have had a negative experience of education or no experience of education at all. It's got very much a soft skills focus. We don't routinely offer qualifications, although some providers do. It has intergenerational impact, which I'll come back to. So we work with children and parents together. It's set out of we don't have any venues of our own. We work in community centres and schools, and that presents its own challenges, which we'll look at. And in the curriculum, it's a little bit different. We focus on adult skills, but we also bring in aspects of children's learning and family learning focus, or family focus needs to be the core. What is intergenerational learning? Well, all the providers that responded to our survey agreed that intergenerational learning is people of different generations learning together. And it is intergenerational learning that the SFA says is family learning. But apart from that, we're left with little guidance on delivery models. So we kind of feel this existential doubt thing. What are we? We know what we want to be doing, but we've got so many options in how we deliver it. There we go. So, intergenerational learning or family learning. Why do we do it, and how is it different from adult only? We need to include some element of children's involvement. Whilst we're all adult tutors, we're all trained as adult tutors. So here is some of the impact of intergenerational learning. Interestingly, one research shows that there's no particular additional attainment for adults compared to adult skills budget provision. However, in this dual track model where you have the children and the parents together, you see the impact for the children. So you've got the same attainment levels for adults as for ASP, but you've also got the impact on the children. So you've got double impact for the funding of the money committed. So our standard delivery model, what we sort of sell as our ideal, is we have an hour and a half with the parents, and then the last half hour we bring the children into the classroom. And here's some examples. So they're learning to eat with chopsticks. So here's a sort of drama thing. This is a cramped room. This is perhaps a school assembly type scenario. So I wanted to find out how much of our family learning provision actually follows this model, because I had my doubts, and I think my doubts were justified. So family learning runs two streams of funding. It's got wider family learning, which is 10-hour courses, and it's got family English, maths and language, which are 12 to 60-hour courses. We provide 12 to 60-hour courses. Can be programmed. So the green part is the adult only, and the blue part is adults and children together. So you can see on our shorter courses, they're much more joint time, and as the courses get longer, there's less and less involvement from the children. However, we see, here's our recruitment figures. Starters are in blue and retained are in red, so you can see the retention is pretty steady, but the enrolment is much higher for the longer courses. So we've got the majority of the commitment of our budget and the majority of our enrolment in the longer courses, and yet they have such less joint element. So our challenge is to think about ways we can encourage longer courses to maintain the family focus. Thinking about this, we interviewed some of our own tutors. We interviewed parent involvement workers at schools who are our main liaison for our settings. And we asked for a response to a questionnaire from the Family Learning Local Authority Group. And from this, we asked them about what they deliver in terms of accreditation. We asked them about particular barriers to the joint session, to the traditional model. And this is some of what we got back from the different sources. So we've got barriers to the joint session, that's the children joining the parents in the session. From the venue, here we see a very crowded room, I don't know how they're going to squeeze the children in there. Staff availability, not all schools give their staff time to actually liaise and recruit and check the rooms available and all the things that people need to do. Timetabling, often the children are not released from class if they are anything really. If they're on a trip, if they're having an English lesson, if anything. If they're doing PE and the hall is too far away and they don't want to go and get them. And that reflects the sort of senior management not particularly always seeing the value of having the children in the classroom. And sometimes venues struggle to recruit enough parents to run a course. We'll look at that recruitment issue again. Some of our tutors present a barrier to the joint session as well. They may not feel confident in delivering joint sessions, maybe because they are mostly tutors who also work at colleges, so they're used to an adult model and they've got to adjust things. Additional planning time and resources for joint sessions can be a bit burdensome. And the learners themselves can present barriers, their own level of language, their level of confidence. If you've got a child that you feel is a bit naughty, you might be a bit reluctant to have them join you and be shown up in front of the class. However, experience shows that that child that they might think of as naughty, others might perceive a bit differently. The group needs time to develop as a group for the adults to learn to trust each other before we start bringing the children in sometimes. Sometimes parents are there, their motivation is their own skills and they don't really see the point of bringing the kids in. So that's about how we're selling the course perhaps. Recruitment, so often some schools are clustered, just geographically or clustered in management terms, and if the children are in different schools or different settings, we can't physically bring all the children into the session, so that excludes schools. So also single form entry schools can't recruit enough parents from a single form entry school to form a class, and they can't cluster because we need the children, so that's an issue. Also the age of the children, so many of other providers don't offer joint sessions in children's centres. It's very awkward, very difficult to work with younger children, and also a challenge to work with secondary age children as well. So we looked at what alternatives there are. So we wanted to make sure that we were not narrowing our criteria or our delivery model to such an extent that we're excluding massive numbers of people who would otherwise want to access our provision. So we interviewed about the effectiveness and impact and sort of general practicalness of different models of getting the children involved in some way. So we looked at trips, so you can have a sort of fully adult course with a trip at the end that you've planned for. Fully joint, which is parents and children together for the whole time. We're running a summer camp this year. This is a rare model. Discrete sessions where the children are taught separately and the adults are taught separately and they come together. That's very expensive, and I think there's only one provider offering that at the moment. Occasional joint sessions, homework, curriculum content. So we might be adults only in the classroom, but how's our curriculum and what we actually teach in terms of the content reflecting or helping develop parental attitudes, positive parental attitudes. There's after-school model, so some providers offer after-school classes. We find that very challenging, we don't do that. One-to-one work with families, very costly. How am I doing for time? I think I'm incredibly quick.
It's about 10 minutes. It's about 7 minutes.
Oh, fine. Let's slow down. So our recommendations are that the joint element has a massive impact, and we don't want to lose it. We don't want to, just for everyone's ease and convenience, we don't want to say, oh, it doesn't matter, we don't need the kids. So we need to push for it, and we need to work with senior management to try and help them to understand the benefits of releasing the children to join us. However, there are times when an alternative model may be more beneficial or practical. Clustering, working with community groups and support groups with specific other reasons for coming together other than being parents with kids at the same school. However, if we're being more flexible with our delivery model, we need to ensure that our tutors and venues are supported to make sure that family learning remains at the core of the curriculum. So we are offering, in Bradford, we're offering tutors a bit more guidance about what is to be included. A lot of our longer courses could come under the general title ESOL, and those ESOL topics can very well include a family learning element. It's helping our tutors to devise activities and use resources that bring out that family learning aspect. So the impact of our research, hopefully, locally, and if it was taken up in a wider way, a greater flexibility in the delivery models allows us to work with a wider range of organisations. We're all searching for the same targeted families, and there's, we can work with other partners to improve access to the provision. Tutors will get greater support and guidance, and the impact will be enhanced if we can make sure that family learning remains core to the delivery.
Questions?
With the long courses, is there an exam at the end?
That's something we're kind of wrangling with at the moment in our team. Some providers routinely offer exams. I think that's how their local authorities decide to use the budgets. We on half of our team, 70 of our team are skills for work, and 8 of our team are family learning. So we are under a lot of pressure to refer for accreditation. We refer elsewhere, but that's very different in different
I was just thinking maybe that's the reason why you have few children, but you're not offering exams in there. So.
Yeah.
Can I just ask that?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously there is a lot of discussion out there about family learning, and there has been for a long time, and there's research. Did you feel that this was taking you somewhere very specific, ahead of the research that is already out there? Was it simply that it related to your particular institution, or? It relates
to our institution, and then sort of trying to match that to what the trends are nationally, but then not sort of, when we got the responses from the FAD group, from the other local authority providers, we found massively differing pictures. So we were left with no particular SFA guidance on our delivery, and a very specific local picture, a high demand for ESOL, and that taking, our course bookings for our Language for Life course were just huge. But then we were left with the question, well, is this really family learning? And how can we make sure it is? And making that decision to move away from accreditation to ensure that it really is first steps.
Have you looked at the timings of these sessions? We run a very similar, not a similar project, but we work with parents and children as well. And we were quite new to the whole thing. And when we looked at how we can deliver it and how we can make sure that children and parents attend together, the only sort of sensible solution for us was to offer sessions at the end of a school day.
Yeah.
So we started session at 2 o'clock with the parents, and then the children would go and pick up their children. And that works quite well for us.
I know it works quite well, but we tried. We ran some courses last year attempting. We had huge bookings for them. The schools loved the idea of having an after-school thing. it didn't work at all. I think we had 2 out of our 25 bookings run because with siblings, so we've got an issue with siblings, the school can't run a creche, there's a lot of the staff are not available at that time. And then so it didn't, yeah, because of the sibling issue mostly, it didn't work.
I don't understand why siblings a problem.
Because if someone has more than one child, we can, some of the courses ran with 2 children, but then if you've got children of massively different ages, it's quite difficult. You could run a creche, but a lot of the venues couldn't physically run a creche. And then the cost, we were running single-hour sessions, so a single hour for a creche and then the settling in, it just wasn't working. I know it works for some providers.
Yes.
We have
a small provisions.
Yeah, we've got the madrasa issue as well, so a lot of it kind of excludes half the population who we're searching for because they send their kids to madrasa after schools.
Thank you.